Hi everybody, I'm very happy to be with you today on Thales booth for the first time as a part of DIS new business unit. So I'm working actually with Raphael, who just presented before me in the Innovation Labs. And I've been my whole life studying authentication and identities. And I would like to share with you today for 5 minutes the main trends we see around digital identities nowadays. So first, why are we talking about digital identities? It's because we see a very clear trend for everybody toward digital identities. Everybody wants to migrate physical identities into digital identities that can be used on the internet. So it's not only about social identities, which have been digitally native for a long time now. It's also about your banking identity, your Regalian identity, which is your government identity. All of those guys want to migrate physical identities toward digital identities. Obviously, this comes with a lot of challenges. And let me highlight maybe the two main ones. So the first one will be the security and trust. It's very hard, and the industry has to work quite a bit to reach the level of security and trust required to support high-end digital identities like citizen identities. Second, I would say it's about the user experience. So I'm not talking about just the problem of having 10,000 different passwords, which is obviously a problem, but I'm also talking about the fact that physical identities are very contextual. They are very easy to understand for the end user. So when you use your passport at the border, it's very clear for the end user what you're doing. It becomes far more complicated when you do that on the internet, when all the identities are mashed up together, and it becomes very difficult for the end user to understand what he is using when and where and for what. So these two main challenges have been addressed by the industry up to now with something called Identity Federation, which is more or less the state of the art of digital identities today. Which is mostly about the big identity providers, people like Google, Facebook, but also maybe the network operators, for instance, opening up their identities so that they can be used by service providers to give you access to something. So as an example, this is you login on a website using Google Login or Facebook Connect, or in France, for those who knows, login to government services using France Connect and your La Poste logins. So as an example of identity federation. But this is not enough. Why is it not enough? Because mostly we have two issues with the main identity federation nowadays. First one is that even if it reduces the number of login and password you have, there are still many identity providers out there. So you reduce maybe from 10,000 passwords to something like 30, 40 identity providers, which is still fairly much a usability nightmare for end users. And the second problem, and maybe the bigger one, is that actually you still have to trust fully the identity provider to evaluate the identities that you receive. So you have to trust Google as far as the verification of the end user go. And honestly, a lot of people don't trust Google to the level they need for verifying their end users. And you have to basically to trust one single identity provider. So the trend we see nowadays to solve this issue is something called decentralized identity, which is what I would like to talk a little bit about today, which is a way a technical way to open up identity ecosystems to multiple identity providers. So Identity Federation open up identity ecosystems to multiple service providers. Decentralized identity opens that up again a bit more to multiple identity providers. So in the end, you have an ecosystem where multiple providers can certify things about you. So for instance, my government will be able to certify my name, my date of birth, and my nationality. My bank will be able to certify my bank account number. My mobile phone operator will be able to certify my mobile phone number. So all of that in the end creates an identity which is far more flexible for the end user and far more valuable in the end for service providers. Because you have multiple attributes certified by the natural issuer of this attribute. So this decentralized identity in the DIS, in the Digital Identity and Security Business Unit in Thales, we see two main implementations of this decentralized identity. which are gaining traction, let's say. The first one is a mobile-centric implementation of this decentralized identity. So this is all the big mobile phone makers and operating system makers, so people like Samsung, Apple, and Google, becoming the central points to host your decentralized identity and to operate this decentralized identity ecosystem. And as a proof of that, I can tell you that Google and Apple, for instance, are participating actively in standardizing things like the mobile driving license, which is a way to digitalize your driving license on your mobile. And they are very active in trying to incrementally build this decentralized identity ecosystem. And the second implementation, one I personally like a bit better, is what we call self-sovereign identity, which is an implementation that relies on DLT technology, things like blockchains, to implement the trust required in the system to store the identity of the end users. So in the end, you have an ecosystem where the attestations about the end users are stored on a blockchain that gives you a certain level of trust in the attestation, and the attributes of the end user are stored in an application on his mobile phone, so that you have nothing disclosed outside of it. And as a conclusion, I will say that we really don't know, or at least I personally don't know, which is the model that will win in the end, or maybe if they will both win for some time. What I can just say is that it's not going to be a technical battle between those two models, because already nowadays they are converging toward the same type of standards and technologies, both of those implementation models. So it's mostly probably going to be, I would say, a business battle. So it's going to be about whom you trust more to store and manipulate your digital identity. And with that, I will leave you to ponder this question. Who do you really trust to maintain your digital identity in the next 3, 4, 5 years between these two models, between a decentralized model when you completely rely on a distributed technology, or a more central model where you rely on the mobile phone maker to maintain your digital identity? So thank you for listening to me, and I will be available after if you have more questions and if you want to discuss about digital identities.